It's a Windows issues, improv, no script, no rehearsal, no plan. Bring your Windows computer troubles for the crew to blow smoke or ideas your way. Amp up your problem solving skills with
Good morning. It is July 9th, 2024. The microphone and desktop audio came live automatically, but this monitor panel, I should monitor that one because it wakes up sooner, or even monitor because this panel, this one over here, just so slow. Come up. Now I got to remember two things before I get too far into the show. I forgot this one yesterday. I have a client who needs to do
Zvi Manor said, "Hello, Doug."
Hello, Zvi. Needs to do faxing from email. I don't have a product off the top of my
John Williams
head
said,
for
"Hello,
that.
Doug."
So I'd like to know if you guys have any favorite all into him. That is one. Speaker is working. Sure, you're hearing him. My microphone is proper audio. Second one that I wanted to get to. Oh, let's see. Is Josh Kinder here? Actually, there's going to be a wait to see Josh Kinder before I address that. And
read chat, please.
And Israel says, read chat. Your audio is breaking up. Oh, good. Thank you for that. Here's why. I know why.
Keith said, "Cutting in and out."
Good. Thank you. I'll come back. I made an adjustment to the filter to try to be more aggressive. So I'm going to change it to minus 25 dB. It was set on 31 yesterday, I think. So let's see how that does. Is that still cutting out, or does that sound okay now? Wanted to get a little more aggressive on cutting out the softer sounds. So I'm waiting to see if that
Ran
is
Israel said
better. Still cutting out. All right. And let's go back here to filters and noise gate and go back. I think it was at 31. So let's make sure that that is stable and solid.
Ken Stout Live said all good here.
Yeah, that's just because Ken has an audio enhancer on his side. So if I ever drop out, his computer just fills in some extra sounds. What's interesting, Doug, I'm not hearing cutouts after you made the adjustment, after you made the first lowering of the adjustment, but Ran was still hearing cutouts. Well, maybe
Ran Israel said much better.
Maybe I can split the difference. Let's see if I can split that difference. Let's go over here to noise gate and take the between 25 and 31. So let's see how that does. All right, so I haven't got to my second thing yet, and yes, Josh is here, so I'll go ahead and do that piece because I don't have to switch screens for that. Josh, I saw your comment yesterday reminding me that yesterday was Windows Update, Update Tuesday, and there's the vanishings. I'm going to tell you what's different about the vanishings or Victors. You haven't figured it out. But anyway, Josh, because I didn't notice that in chat during the show, I want to add one more element to my request to you, is for you to actually use SpeakerBot to remind me it's Update Tuesday. So on Update Tuesday, please remind me, no, Update Monday. The day before Update Tuesday, which is usually a Monday. I can't guarantee it. I haven't researched it, so I don't know for sure, but pretty sure that day before Update Tuesday is always a Monday. Seems to work out that way. So how's the sound now? Is it still cutting out? Ran Israel, I'm looking for, I don't know if, yeah, you said much, last one you said much better. That was before my last adjustment, I think. So I want to hear again from you.
Live.
So
it
far,
is
so
Update
good,
Tuesday
he says.
today on the actual day of Tuesday. Sound is fine.
Yeah, so
Ran
today's
Israel said so far so good.
Update Tuesday. So Josh,
John Williams said sound good.
Thank you. I'm asking Josh for you to actually put in a speaker bot on Monday before Update Tuesday to remind me, just to make sure I remind everybody. that it's Update Tuesday. Now, I still haven't gotten to that second topic that I wanted to get to. So I got to go back to that because Josh was just inserting another one. Here's what I want for the second topic. Now, let's see. I did a little thing here. I got this new gadget that does a zoom in. I don't think this is going to work out very well for chat. I'll show you what this looks like. I don't think this is going to work out very well. But Brian Lightfoot saying Doug will never understand this one. Bonk. Wrong. I tell everybody that my password is 123456788. Actually, it's 24446666888888. I don't know if I said the right number of them. The way that works out, for those of you who haven't figured this out, is 1, 2, 3, 4. So he's got 1, 2, 3 4s, 5 6s, and 7 8s. I didn't actually count the number of 8s there because I was that confident in deciphering his joke. So going to the old way of showing chat is zooming in this way. I think this is smoother. That's a little bit too aggressive. So Brian,
Keith said
wrong.
That zooming tool could get me motion sick.
Yeah, that zooming tool might work for some other things, but not for chat. I'm going to try it on the pictures that I'm coming up to. I think it will be helpful there. So, hello, Alice, Jonathan, John Williams, Brian Lightfoot. Let's people saying
Rand
hellos
Israel
to
said,
each
"Is
other's.
this Zoom it from sysinternals?
Zoom it from sys. No, this is not. This is a OBS.
Computers
one a
ETC
plugin
said
or a
hello
script?
at LiveWindowsTraining-DougBetts. I am here, Chris Garrett. I am under this account today trying to promote my channel.
All right, Chris, very good. Chris, let us know in chat what happened with is your watch page still messed up, and did you send a complaint like I was suggesting yesterday? Did you send that feedback? That's reminding me to ask you about that online faxing. If anybody knows that. My client called me yesterday wanting to figure out if the wall jack he has is his home phone number so that he can plug in a fax to it. I had the conversation with him for a while. It turns out it's very rare that he's going to need to actually do a fax. So I told him, well, you can do it through email. It's a little less convenient than just punching numbers on a fax machine, but if you're not doing it very often, it could be a whole lot more convenient because he already has the document in his computer, but he's got some government sites that he has to send a traditional fax. So does anybody have a recommendation
ETC
of
said
that?
at LiveWindowsTraining-DougBetts. I haven't worked on it yet, but I will. Wasn't feeling very well yesterday afternoon.
All right. Hope you feel better soon, Chris. Yeah, then. Yeah, I don't know where I was at. So hello to all the people I haven't mentioned your names. Avi Manor, not sure who I've mentioned, Selden Ball. Mike Wojcik. I think audio is, as far as I know, you're saying audio is working currently.
Computers ETC said it's just anxiety.
Oh, that you weren't feeling well
Ken
about?
Stoutliff said there are 2 things so far, only half of one.
Ken says there are 2 things so far, only half of one. Are you referring to audio cutouts? I don't know what that's referring to.
Ghetto Fortnite said, I like the old Zoom way better.
Yeah, this is the old Zoom way, so we'll stick with that for chat. I think Ken's referring to the 2 things that I said I need to mention, and those were the faxing for a client, online faxing. The other one was Brian Lightfoot's joke. And the third one that I inserted there was asking Josh to use SpeakerBot for Windows Update. Ken Stout says, it's Update Tuesday today on the actual day of Tuesday. Sound is fine. Daniel Emberley, update regarding my digital analog converter issue. I pronounce those words when I see an acronym to help me lock in what that is. All right, that's what it is. Digital analog converter. Digital analog converter, not digital audio converter. No problems for a full week after substituting the charger with one I had on hand. Awesome! Problems occurred after putting original charger back. Oh, she put the original charger back and then experienced the problem. Perfect, 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 perfect. 125,365 points awarded to Danielle Amberly for doing that. When you find the solution, reverse whatever you did to confirm that the symptom goes back. When you reverse that back to the way it was, that is an awesome thing you need to do to gain confidence on what the solution actually was. Edge of this adjustment, some ill effects. You might take it down just a small amount more, because probably if you speak louder, the idiosyncrasy could occur. Now, the reason why I wanted to try to cut it down a little bit more is because as I listened back to my video from yesterday, there were a couple times when I cleared my throat, and that was picked up not as bad as before I turned the filter on, but still picked it up. So here's a test. Well, let's see. Oh,
Computers EC said
this.
1.21 gigawatts. Great Scott.
Let's see. How do I want to do this? I got another feature over here that I'm working on. I'm not going to tell it to you, but there I just hit that button. So I'm going to test this. So I want to see whether that was picked up. I just cleared my throat twice. Because I just have all these things, throat going on stuff. See, what was that last one? Chris said 1.21 gigawatts. Great Scott. I don't know what that was in reference. Was that in reference to the points awarded to Danielle? I don't know. Speak louder. Idiosyncrasies could occur. If you speak louder, the idiosyncrasy could. No, those adjustments aren't going to have an adverse effect
Back to the Future
for speaking louder. It's a reference to Back to the Future. Okay, so do you just throw in comments from some movie somewhere without any connection to what's going on currently on my show? Or did that have some connection to the show? Yeah, 1.21 gigawatts, Great Scott. That was the doctor, the old Albert Einstein looking hair job, whatever his name was. Professor something or other, I don't remember. But I remember that.
Ken Stout Live said, of course. Do you feel lucky, Punk?
Yeah, that was Clint Eastwood. So there. Ran Israel, kudos for figuring out the culprit. Yeah, well done. An extra 8. An extra 8. Was that an extra 8 points? Not sure. Josh will do the speaker bot for Update Tuesday. That's fantastic. I'm glad also that you figured it out. Sometimes we just assume things like power supplies are working correctly. Yeah, look at the simple things.
Doug, do your hair like that, and you will look like him.
Okay. I have had times when my hair reminds me of Albert Einstein. Okay, I guess get Doc Brown. Yeah, okay. I reckon I could have picked that out in a multiple choice. Are you bothered by fires close to Fresno? No. No, Lana. Sometimes it has been the case where we see smoke in the air. I have not noticed that. I was out driving yesterday, and I'm not aware of how bad the fires are. I don't seek that kind of news. If my Amazon Echo device voluntarily tells me about it, then I'll do that. You see it's red right now because I have it muted, because a video that I might play a little bit actually says the keyword, and I don't want to trigger mine or trigger yours. There's an extra 8 because 987 Doug missed it, minus 3,000 points or 300,000 points for him. Because 987, I guess maybe the number I gave, that was going to round it up something. Do your hair like that and you'll look like him. You like your hair like that? No, that's a misread. Is this website a solution to send fax? Is this something that you have experience with, or did you just Google that? If you have good experience with this, then I will check into it. If this is just something that you Googled, then I'll I'll go ahead and look at it if I don't get anybody recommending something that they have used and like. Great find. I knew there was such a service. I believe I've used them before, like 10 years. Okay, so Lawn Dog gives me a vote for that. So let's go over here and look at what does Baby Beast say in regards to Windows Update. Notice this says last checked today, 7:50 a.m. I did a Windows Update check, and the only thing
Computers ETC said send a fax to Jenny at 867-5309.
Okay. I need an area code for that. No, don't give me the area code, please. I checked at 7:50 and it did not find a cumulative update yet. Here, the only thing I'm offered is a cumulative update preview. I don't seek previews. If I go to update history, you'll see that nothing was installed yet. The last install was cumulative update in June, on June 14th. I'll do another check for updates and see if it's available yet. It doesn't always come available at a specific time. Sometimes I've seen that it doesn't actually come until the next day. Still, security intelligence update completed, and I just did one of those updates. So it's not here yet. Looks simple enough to use. Jenny's area code is a secret. All right. So yesterday, I believe it was, I told you about my crystal disk mark speed tests while I had, let's bring this up. Now here's where I think the zooming might be useful, because I'm going to tell you that I only had one memory board in place. How do I show that to you? Well, I can do this. Come down to here, and right in the center of the screen, I'm showing 1 of 8. And I can turn that off. That's kind of okay. And then I can point out that with one memory board, I was getting 3440 for my read speed. And what happens when I put in 2 memory boards or 4 memory boards? I'm going to show you that. Now I'm going to hammer through some pictures. I'm not going to go super fast. Now here's CPU Z. It shows now I'm in dual channel mode. By this point, I had put in a second. No, I'm sorry. This is Baby Beast. See, and I can show you right there that this is Baby Beast. So I think that zooming technique is pretty comfortable. And this was a test. Yeah, that was Cinebench on Big Beast. I'm not going to focus on the Cinebench test here. So here I'm showing there's one memory board in place, and I can zoom into that here. That's the memory board, and zoom out.
Algie said, what about your main PC?
My main PC is Big Beast. We are looking at Big Beast now. That there was only one shot there that was Baby Beast. Well, there was a couple of shots, but we're not going to focus on that. So when I showed that CPU-Z was showing dual channel mode, that was Baby Beast. I haven't put in the extra memory yet. These pictures are in chronological order. Let me also point out over here, that is the DIM.2 slot that has my storage media. Oh, good grief, Doug. You can't even remember the name of that storage port. DIM.2 in the DIM.2 slot. This DIM.2 slot is exactly like the RAM memory slots, except it's got a piece of metal over a couple of the connectors to prevent you from putting a memory in that. NVMe, that's what I was looking for, Brian, not M.2. And I did get the M.2. It's NVMe I couldn't think of. So again, here is the DIM.2 board, which has the
Ken Stout Live
NVMe.
said, how are you zooming in and out? Asking for a friend.
The M.2 NVMe is inside here. I'm zooming it in and out using a thing that I just installed this morning, and it is a, let's see, the Zoom one is an add-in, and it is called If I go over here, this will remind me the name of it. It's say no, that doesn't. A better way for me to grab that is go to Windows Explorer, and because I got the download over here. So I've got two things that I've added in. They are under OBS. One was a script, one is a plugin. So, no, that's Chapter Marker was the plugin. The OBS whiteboard projector hotkeys. No, wait a minute. Neither of those are it. How did I do that? I just set that up this morning. How would I not remember that? Oh, of course we know how he wouldn't remember. Doug. All right. Well, I owe that answer to you. I'm going to move along with where I'm at instead of getting distracted. Squirrel. Ken, you can ask again when I'm between topics. That would be helpful. So that is still in place. So let's move along
Keith said
here.
you need Windows recall.
Windows recall. Yeah, Windows recall would help me remember that, right? I've got some of these are videos, some of these are pictures. I just want to stick to the Crystal Disk Mark story right now. So I'm going to hammer through some of these that are irrelevant. Now here's where I'm taking off. All right, I'll do this piece since we're here. See this cover right here? That's covering the M.2 slot. And at this point, there's the DIM.2 board still in place. And so this is where I removed that cover, and I'm going to install my NVMe into here, which this picture was, I think, back on July 1st. Here's the DIM.2 board. I've got the screws removed from it. And then here you look down the side, there's the NVMe board in there. And you can see this white thing here is the adhesive thermal strip. And then there's chips between those two. It looks like there's space between the two, but no, it's the chips that are mounted on the board. And then I use a spudger tool. I told you that I kind of felt like I might break the NVMe because of that adhesive. So there I have the top off of that. There's the M.2 NVMe SSD, 8 terabytes. Take out the screw, the retaining screw there. And then here I got this, this is a video. Here's the socket, and here's the socket for a second M.2. So I'll play this. I'm going to mute the audio because there's nothing useful in that audio, and I'm going to scrub forward. So there's putting the board in, screwing it in place. And I know the focus wasn't very good on this. It was iPhone, you know. Put that cover back on. I'm scrubbing forward. I'm dragging the playhead forward through this rather than watching this. What was it? 2 or 3 minute video, something like that. And then I'm putting the memory in here. Now, there's a mistake that Doug makes here. Those of you who really have been paying attention might discover the mistake. So this is me putting in the second memory board in Big Beast build. Oops. Oh, doggone it. Pressed an arrow key and it jumped me out of there. Get back to there. Let this play to the end. So there's showing the 2 memory boards. You'd have to be really sharp to catch the error there, except that some of you are guessing it just because of my hint that there is an error. This is a photo here. Moving on. There you go, Brian Lightfoot. Wrong slot for the second RAM stick. Was that a guess or did you know it? This is... That's weird. Why is this exclamation mark in the middle? Not a video. I don't know. Oh no. Yeah, so here I'm showing in the book, and I was intentionally going into that slot because I was thinking of the third one from the right on each of them. And when you That's pretty obvious there. That's the second one from the in side because there's a CPU between these sets of memory. So it's the second one from the inside is the
Ziggy
correct
Manor
slot.
said, why did you decide to put the NVM in lower slot?
That is the primary numbered slot. And this other slot, I think it shares memory with the dim.2 or shares something with dim.2, but my understanding is this was the right one to put in for a single M.2. If I'm wrong about that, let me know, because that's possible. So now here's the next speed test. Do you remember what the number was when I had one memory board in? It was 3,400 something. Now 3,100. This is Big Beast over here. So that's Big Beast. Down here, you can see that I've got two memory boards in place. And that's
All right,
about...
Israel said, generally speaking, the slot closest to the CPU is the preferred one.
You know, I recall hearing that, but I looked in the manual and the impression I came away with, that was not the case here. So maybe that's worth going back to look at. But here, this is about 10% slower storage test. Now, yesterday I was talking about that, and some people I saw in the chat comments were confused. Why are you using Crystal Disk Mark as a in relation to memory configuration? Well, when Crystal Disk Mark does its test, memory is involved in that test, right? CPU is involved in that test. The test is for the speed of your storage drive, but I found it interesting that when I had one memory board in place, I got 10% higher storage performance. Now, my theory...
Ran Israel said the one near the CPU is routed directly into the CPU's PCI controller. The other one is routed through the motherboard chipset.
Okay, we'll take a look at the manual again and see it. Are you getting that from the manual for this motherboard, or is that just a general concept? We'll get to the motherboard after I finish talking about this on the memory. So my theory is that when you have single channel memory, that storage drive test is kind of a single file or a
Ran Israel said that is the common design.
Common design. Yeah, I've heard that before. And I had that in my head when I went to look at the manual. My conclusion was they want it in the slot that I used. We'll go look at that and confirm it. So my theory is that when Crystal Disk Mark is doing that test, it's just doing a speed test, almost like single file, inline test. And when you split that up for dual memory, there's some overhead switching of some sort in order to use the two memory boards, but the overall experience for the user is going to be better. And for me, that betterness means that when I look at my video here on OBS, it's not herky-jerky, where it is when I only have one memory board. So even though Crystal Disk Mark shows better numbers when I had single channel memory, that doesn't mean the computer is going to perform faster to the end user. I think that's the explanation. Now, there's one other thing, one other factor that is not quite right about the way I tested this. When I was using a single memory board with single channel memory, at that point in time, my NVMe drive was in the dim.2 riser slot. So I ought to do the same test with the NVMe now on a motherboard M.2 slot. But it seems like if there's any difference in speed for the NVMe, that the riser slot, the dim.2 slot, ought to be slower, right? Because that's a secondary or tertiary place to have storage. The slot on the motherboard ought to be faster. But anyway, this is what I was referring to yesterday when I said with a single channel memory, I had a higher Crystal Disk Mark by 10%. Okay. let's see, is there anything else there? That is, now this is with 2 memory boards in place. So what happens when I go to 4? Glad you asked. I know you didn't actually ask, but there. Now here, is this it? No, that's still dual channel. This is Big Beast. I don't remember what change I made for that one. And yeah, here's
Brian Lightfoot said, what happens when you go to 4?
Here's quad channel. Here's what happens when I went to 4. Thanks for asking, Brian. I was hoping somebody would ask. It's even lower. See this? It's even slower. With dual channel memory, it was 31 something. Now it's not that much lower. It's not that big of a change as it was going from single channel to dual channel. That makes a whole lot of sense because percentage-wise, going from single channel to dual channel, that's a much bigger jump than going from dual channel to quad channel. Also, whatever overhead is involved in that speed degradation would it has perhaps already taken its bite partially out of the quad channel. So the difference from going to dual channel to quad channel maybe not that much. Now, something else for a good scientific testing is I should have repeated all of these tests to see if they're consistent. Because yeah, your results may vary until you do a test multiple times over, vary the circumstances a little bit to really get a handle on what else might have affected those differences. All right, I'm gonna take that off screen and hammer through some others. Oh yeah, I had a big problem with the capture card. It was no longer working. Took quite a bit of futzing
Al J
to
said,
fix
Crystal
that.
Disk Info is helpful.
Crystal Disk Info is helpful about telling you things about the storage media, yes. And I use it when I'm needing that information. I had to go through a whole bunch of stuff trying to fix my capture card, and I'm not sure what the eventual fix was on that. I wound up when between the capture for Baby Beast and for this computer on the desk, I could capture either of those devices with any of the cables on either of the ports of the card, but I couldn't get both of them at the same time. When both of them were plugged in, one of them wouldn't work. So I swapped monitors, I swapped computers, I swapped what was the other piece? I moved the capture card to a different slot. I uninstalled the software, reinstalled the software. I patted my head and rubbed my stomach at the same time. Eventually it started working. And a weird thing was that frustrated my troubleshooting is that this computer here, during the early parts of that troubleshooting, it was on and running and I could get it on screen. And then at some point I discovered that even though the power light was still on, it actually was not outputting a signal at all. So then I pressed the power button to turn it back on, and now instead of a desktop, I get the out-of-box experience on the computer like it's never been set up. That's weird. Ay, caramba. I got to contemplate whether there's some other things that I wanted to cover today because I am into overtime. Yeah, I do want to cover some other things. I kept this comment from Ran for today, from Ran Israel, because...
Gary Weisenberger said Patch Tuesday in North America. These
Yes.
updates, which include both security and non-security content, are typically published at 10 a.m. Pacific Time, PST PDT per Microsoft.
Oh, really? I did not know that. Thank you, Gary. That sounded a little soft to me. Patch Tuesday in North America, typically published 10 a.m. I did not know that. I will try to precisely check on that today.
Gary Weisenberger said per page 10x per MB man. DIMM M2 slot is on the processor and MB M2 slot is from the chipset. From the processor will faster in most cases.
Okay, we got to go look at that. before the show's over. I guess I'm going to have to do overtime. I get over it, deal with it. I'm just being forced. My hand is being forced. Page 10. Might not be 10 in the PDF. Storage. Yeah, okay. Let's zoom this in this way. Storage X. Oh, I'm sorry. It's doing that. I didn't mean for it to do that add-in thing. I don't see that on my monitor. It shows in the OBS. I'll look a little closer. Slot is on the processor. M.2 slot is from the chipset. We want the processor, sure. DIM M.2 motherboard. DIM M.2 slot. DIM, do you mean DIM2? DIM.2 slot is on the processor. Motherboard M.2 slot is from the chipset. So are you saying the DIM.2 will be faster? DIM.2 module supports. Now, I did find people reporting that they were booting from that just fine, and nobody saying,
ZV
no, you
Manor
shouldn't
said
do
I read
that.
the manual. You put the NVMe in the right slot. Page 1, 19 in the manual.
Oh, okay, great. So he says I did put it in the right slot for this motherboard. Good Doug. Good Dougie. You get a treat today. Yay. How about that? Doug did something right. DIM.2 supports these modules. DIM.2 will be disabled when PCI slots run at that mode, 48 lane. And I'm not doing that, I don't think. Will be disabled on 44 lane. Be disabled when using 28 lane. I kind of studied through that another time and don't quite remember it. You guys thought so. Where is the specific place that Gary was saying? For page 10 motherboard manual, DIM.2 M.2 slot is on the processor. So in here somewhere this says processor. I'm gonna processor. I don't want to go away from that page. Back to page 10. X series processors. Word processor come up again? No. What am I missing? Is this the right area, Gary? Be disabled, will be disabled. Processor. Still Optane. I don't feel like I'm
Ren
in the
Israel
right
said,
place.
ZV said, page 119.
Page 119 was for...
Gary Weisenberger said yes.
Yeah, this is for Gary's topic, not Rand's. I'm dealing with Rand and Zvi. They have 119 for having the NVMe in the correct motherboard slot. What I understand Gary to be saying is that this DIM.2 has direct access to the CPU and will be faster. For manual, DIM.2, I'm reading that as DIM.2. I think that's what he meant. Slot is on the processor. Motherboard M.2 slot is from the chipset. From the processor will be faster in most cases. This sounds like Gary's conclusion rather than the manual actually saying that. But my crystal disk mark did show that. So perhaps my test for that will be to go back down to one memory board with the NVMe on the motherboard M.2 slot. And if that gets the slower speed than when I had the NVMe in the DIM.2, then that would confirm and verify what Gary is saying here is that it would be faster in that slot and that I was fine and better off to have it there. Now, I'll go on to what Zvi and Rand were talking about, 1.19. Get to, I read the manual, you put the NVMe in the right slot, 1-19 in the manual. See if that happens to correlate. I don't think so. 1-19. So I'll use Control F, 1-19. That gets to the first instance of it. This gets to the second instance of it. So here, B, M.2 _1 M.2_1 supports 3.0x4 mode and SATA mode, mDesign. M.2_ mode does not support SATA mode, and it supports M-key design. The PCI 3.0 X4 slot shares bandwidth with the M.2.
Ran Israel said getting motion sickness.
Oh, I'm sorry. All right. I gotta turn that off. I did not realize that was active. I'm gonna go turn that off because somehow that's accidentally happening. Is that on scripts? Zoom to mouse. Yeah, zoom to mouse. How easily can I disable that? Auto follow mouse. Turn that off. This doesn't have an activate deactivate option. It should only happen if I press the number 1 on my keyboard. That's what activates it. So how does this tell me that I should have it in the M.2_2? No, wait a minute. B. Yeah, this is B. M.2_1. Oh, I put it in that _1. This supports X4 and SATA mode M key. And this one here is the M.2_2. Is it simply because of the lower number? Is it simply because it's M.2_1 that we assume that this one's the right slot to use? Does it actually say that in here? Well, thanks for telling us that you have to purchase your M.2 separately. Duh. I'm guessing it's just because M.2_1 would be presumed better one to use. Functionally, I don't think that'll make any difference
Ren
for
Israel
me.
said both Gary and Zvi are correct. The choice from best to worst should be dim. 2, then B, then A.
M.2
Keith said
and
M,
B,
2
then A.
underscore 2 shares with PCI.
M.2_2. Yeah, that's right. Where did it say that? So that was just in here somewhere, wasn't it? Oh, there it is. The PCI 3.0x4 slot, which is one of these 3 slots. That one, or that one. How do I know which one that is? And am I using that slot? I got to get to the place where it labels those. Okay, let's do a Control F.
Ran Israel said, if you use Emir 2 slot A, you'll disable the X4 PCIe slot.
X4 PCI slot doesn't. Oh, that's here, isn't it? That's the X4 slot right there, isn't it? PCI X4. Control F. PCI E. Here, one PCIe 3.0 X4 slot. Yeah, so there's only one of them. So that would be it. Where was I at? -19, I think. Yeah, so it's that slot that gets disabled. Checking.
ZV Manor said, are you aware of the switch on the board, slow mode switch? See page 1, 12.
Yeah, I am not using this slot. Now, starting with V Manor just said, are you aware of the switch on the board, slow mode switch? Oh, I'd love to find a way to slow my computer down. Well, wait, what? Control F, Control V, paste, slow mode switch. Slow mode switch on 1-12.
Computers
Slow
at
mode
TC said,
switch.
oh no, my Dell Latitude powers on and then shuts off.
Oh, Is that, well, that's not the same problem you were reporting the other day, Chris, where it wouldn't turn on at all. Now it powers on and shuts off. Sounds like you might still have something going on with power. The system may crash due to the CPU being unstable when using extreme overclock settings. I'm not.
Computers etc said, I hope it is the battery.
Enable the slow mode switch during LN2 benching to decrease the processor frequency and stabilize the system, allowing you to keep track of overclocking data. So all we care about this is to verify that I don't have
Computers
this.
etc said battery may be dead.
Okay, gotcha, Chris. We want to check and make sure this is turned off, which is the default. Turn it on to enable slow mode. So it's along this edge of the motherboard. Checking. Got my light. Ay caramba, there are 3 switches there in that area. So which switch is this? Okay. Yeah, there's a switch there and a switch here and a switch here. So it's the bottom of those 2 switches. Wow. Wow. Wait a minute. Who brought this up? Who brought this up? See, that alarm was telling me to do some other stuff that I'm supposed to be done with this live stream, so I can do now. Where is that last speaker bot? Said that. Are you aware of the switch on the board? Slow mode switch. Yikes. Adzooks. This switch is turned on. It is enabled right now. So
He said 100000000 points for @Z manner.
yeah, what is that? 10 million, 100 million, or a billion, whatever like that. Yeah, score. Page 1.12. I'm sure that's what I'm on, right? Yeah. I want to really make sure that I'm got that switch correct. I'd also like to know what those other switches are. I'm not going to do that now during the live stream because I need to move on. Well, here it is. There's a pause switch. Extreme Encore pause switch. The pause switch allows you to freeze the system at a hardware level, thus allowing you to adjust your system settings under heavy clocking. The default for that switch is off. And that switch is currently off. I'm going to guess the next one is also default off. Yeah, default off for RSVD switch is reserved for ASUS authorized technicians only. I know that one's off. Then I know it's off because there's only one that is turned on. And it's
Computers
interesting.
etc said the laptop a few days ago was from my church. The old HP XP desktop from church had a dead power supply.
Oh, so those are different computers. I think it's interesting to note that apparently their standard is to use red lettering on the non-default choice. I don't think they're probably using red.
Manner said XMP for memory is a kind of OC.
Overclocking, probably. Yeah, I think they're saying the red coloring is to say what you don't do this setting. So if they had a switch that defaulted to on, I would guess the off would be in red, but they don't have a switch such as that. XMP for memory is a kind of overclocking. Yes, understood. Yeah. Well, I'm going to shut the computer down to change that switch. I don't know if it's supposed to be turned off to change that, but that's going to be interesting because there are some things about this computer that sometimes seem to, why is that sluggish there? That might have been a huge score. Zvi, you earned your paycheck for the year. That one. Wait, paycheck? How much is he paying me?
Computers ETC said shut it down while doing updates.
Yeah. Well, updates? Windows updates? You want me to shut the computer down while doing Windows updates? That's difficult. All right, I got to go. I got to get myself out of here. Boo to that. And then what else? I'm not sure I covered everything. No, I'm not sure, but I'm going. Goodbye. Get out of here. Make sure you got the right button, Doug. You can watch that video to see how to get free support through this YouTube channel, and this button to see how to get, or this video to see how to get paid support from me directly, and this one to learn how to turbocharge your troubleshooting experience on this channel. And this is a video that YouTube thinks will be good for you. Have a great day. Catch you later. Goodbye.